Hey, Chef Cutting, I've got a great recipe for us to use in the kitchen for dinner and for lunch, depending on how you're going to accompany your steak or your chicken or your salmon. We're going to take carrots, we're going to boil them, and then we are going to butter them and season them with kosher salt, a little cracked pepper, and our favorite little herb, cannabis. So we're going to put some ground cannabis in there, really bring out the root flavor of the carrot, because as you well know, any herb that you add to a vegetable does add to its earthiness profile. So, very simple recipe, great to go with olive and accompaniments for all different kinds of items of food. So let's get in my test kitchen and let's go ahead and make buttered carrots. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chef Cutting's Kitchen. I got a great recipe for you today. We're going to be working with cannabis again, and I tell you what, this marijuana cooking is awesome because I tell you, both before and after, there's nothing like eating this food because you just stay so positive. Anyway, so let's just get started here, go through the ingredients. I'm going to make today a really cool buttered carrot because this is going to not only have the added value and of course the added effect of our wonderful weed, but also I'm going to give you something for those of you that have those sweet tooths. So we're going to get into it right now. I have a tablespoon of brown sugar. This is light, not dark. I have a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I got a half a teaspoon of ground pepper, a full teaspoon of kosher salt, and of course my weed. I'm using just 3 carrots, but with all these ingredients you could use up to 5. But I got a sweet tooth, so I'm just using 3. I have my beautiful clusters of gorgeous cannabis here. If you could just smell what my kitchen smells like right now. Wow. I'm going to take one of these clusters and I'm just going to ground it up into a small grinder. So if those of you who are more marijuana inclined have grinders, just go ahead and grind a couple buds of these. That's really all you're going to need. Now of course, if you want to make this a lot more potent, you know, grind maybe a third of this. But I'm going to just take just a couple of these buds here and just grind these up, and then we'll have some wonderful cannabis to work with. Okay, there we are. We're all good to go. I now have what I need to get started. So I'm just going to walk you through the recipe, and then we're going to go ahead and put it through on film, okay? I'm going to take these carrots and scrub them. I like keeping the skins on. If you want to peel them, that's great, but why don't you just go ahead and cut a third of the carrot off, because that's what happens when you peel any kind of root. There's no need to peel the skins off. Just scrub them and they're as good as gold. Plus you'll keep all of the nutritional value, and you'll also keep the wonderful carrots intact, because as I said before, if you peel them, you might as well take about that much of the carrot off right now, because that's how much of the carrot's flesh you're taking off when you peel it. It's only for aesthetic. It has nothing to do with sanitation. It certainly has nothing to do with flavor, because in my opinion, carrots with skin on taste way better than carrots with skin off. And then, you know, we're going to also be adding our sugar and our cinnamon at the end, and we'll obviously be adding about maybe a tablespoon of butter, but I omit the butter from the recipe in the beginning because I give you the option of whether you want to use butter or you don't. You don't absolutely have to use butter, but if you do, go ahead and put a tablespoon and add it to this recipe. We're going to cut the tip of the root off right here. We're only going to cut right here. We don't need to cut down here because this is where photosynthesis happens, ladies and gentlemen. And this much of the carrot right here has probably got the most of the nutritional value the carrot can offer. So the more you cut up on the top, the stupider that is. And then we're going to go ahead and just clean off the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and... did I say stupid? Sorry, man, but you know, I've already gotten started, if you know what I'm saying. So, let's go ahead and get the carrots prepped and get them over to the stove, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. Cool. Okay, here are my carrots, and I'm nicely scrubbed, by the way, and now I'm going to go ahead and just trim them. I like to use my finger like this, so if you use it like that, you'll never cut your finger. I'm going to go ahead and trim the bottom there. Same thing applies. And we're good to go. Alright. Goodbye, my dirty pieces. Hello, my clean pieces. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of put all of these together in one direction, and that way I save myself some time. I'm just going to cut these into coins, what we like to call coins. I'll move this over here for now. Okay, we're going to cut these into coins, and they're going to be about a 1/4 of an inch thick, like that, because we don't want them taking forever to cook. But at the same time, we would like to have some meaty pieces of carrot, right? Oh yeah, look at that. Coming out well. Now always watch your fingers, make sure your fingers stay behind the blade. We don't want someone cutting their fingers off. So that means save the weed for last, okay? When you get to the last end bits, you know, just go ahead and cut them separately if they're too thick. But that's a pretty good size right there. Bring it up to you so you can see it. It's a pretty good size. We're going to go ahead and put this in the pot of boiling water, or in, you know, if you wish to steam it instead, you're welcome to do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and boil them off, and then we are going to move into the final round of making buttered cannabis carrots. Okay, gang, here I have is a 2-quart pot with about 1 quart of water in it. I'm going to go ahead and add some kosher salt to this, just to kind of give it a little more salt for the carrots to season in and permeate within the vegetable. Now, if you're seasoning, you can still add, or sorry, if you're steaming, you can still add salt. You just sprinkle the salt a little bit around the carrot prior to putting it in the steamer. I'm boiling because I'm going to toss everything after I'm done, and so I like to use the same pot because I'll be able to keep some of those natural juices that get released in the water. So let's wait for this to boil, and the next step, boil those carrots. Alright, we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. The water is boiling, and I am ready to go ahead and add my carrots, so I'm going to do that now. Just going to go ahead and roll those in there. Oh, look at that orange goodness. Come on. There we go. Okay, I'm starting to see a few little bubbles come up, so I'm just going to go ahead and stir those, agitate the salt in the pot, make sure the carrots get nicely mixed in with that salted water. And now we've probably got about, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes, depending upon the heat. I've got it on medium heat. I wouldn't go any higher than that, only because you don't want the water to evaporate before the carrots are done. So, that being said, we'll come back to it probably in about another 5 minutes and just use a fork to test it to see if it's good to go. Okay, now as you can see, that orange little color that comes up to the top of the water, that's actually what you're boiling out of the carrot. So, you want to try and keep that when you drain it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just go ahead and put a fork through this. As you can see, it went right through. So this is ready to go. I want to use my carrots almost in an al dente fashion, the same way pasta's a little firm but not too soggy. So I'm going to go ahead and get these drained, and I'm going to capture that orange just to keep that added flavor. Here we go. Now, as you can see, what I did was I used this kind of strainer so I could strain it sideways, and you'll see there's that orange that I captured all over the carrot. I like to keep that there because that is very, very earthy flavor, and it is the nutrients of the carrot that boiled out while it was in the water, and so we were able to capture it. Now what I'm going to do is add all my awesome seasoning and give myself a nice little buzz of herb. Okay, so as I said before, this is optional, but I'm going to add about a tablespoon of butter to these carrots. But it's optional. You don't have to add it. But I'm going to do that, and you've seen me using a wooden spoon for this recipe, and whenever you're using anything with hot water, always use a wooden spoon because they don't conduct heat, and so you will never burn your finger. You know, so many people use metal spoons, and then they end up, you know, grabbing it in mid-cooking process, and then they scald their hands. So always use a wooden spoon. Alright, so as you can see, the butter is melting. I'm going to get ready to add all my seasoning. Okay, now I have a lid that fits this pot, and it's very beneficial, and I'll show you why towards the end. But if you don't have one, you can just follow along. But if you do, get this lid ready because we will be using it to do something a little culinarily special. Alright, so first things first, going to go ahead and sprinkle the pepper. Okay, stir that around. And be very gentle in how you stir things, because obviously the carrots are cooked now, so they're going to start to fall apart, and you don't want that. Okay? Next thing I'm going to do is add a little salt. Suggest you taste the carrot first before you add the salt, because we did cook it with salt. So I'm going to go do that now. Oh yeah. We could use a little more. Perfect. Alright. These carrots are cooked perfectly. I'm going to add the sugar. There it goes. Again, don't have to add the sugar, but I'm going to, because these are going to be buttered carrots, and buttered carrots are a little sweet. I'm going to add the cinnamon. And now finally, ladies and gentlemen, oh yeah, the herb. The wacky tobacco. And of course, you know, for those of you that want to get a little more relaxed with your carrots, you can add as much as you like. But I added approximately about a teaspoon of ground cannabis, okay? Now I'm going to put the lid over it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hold this with the lid on there, and I'm just going to stir it around. Okay, and so I'm just moving those carrots around, and look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah. Perfectly buttered and seasoned carrots ready for service. Let's get this bad boy out of the pot and get it ready for service. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I've got a nice little white dish. I'm going to go ahead and just drop these beautiful buttered carrots into the white dish because they've got such great color. And for the most part, you can see that the carrots have not lost their shape. They're still quite attractive in the bowl. And maybe if we get a close-up here, you'll be able to see just how beautiful they are. Well, those are gorgeous, aren't they? And of course, a wonderful herb added to the carrot to add some high quality. Yuck, 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 yuck. Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you a wonderful recipe here from MarijuanaMeals.com. This is buttered carrots. Enjoy.